All right, awesome. I think we're going to get started. Welcome everyone to EarthCorps' virtual Campfire Chat. Before we get into the program, there are a couple of things that I just wanted to mention. We are using Zoom webinar, so you won't be able to use your video and microphone, but we encourage you to use the Q&A function to add questions and to leave any comments. And we have some time set aside at the end of the program in case that you do have any questions and we want to answer them at the end. We're super excited that you've joined us to learn more about EarthCorps' work with some of our community partners. My name is Gabbi Esparza. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the new partnerships and volunteer manager here at EarthCorps. My position is completely new, and we are dedicated to growing our work in communities that historically haven't benefited from or been involved with our restoration work. And EarthCorps has also added 2 dedicated AmeriCorps positions, our community volunteer specialists, who are here in this call tonight. And we have more than doubled our size of our community and volunteer team, which is really exciting because it enables us to do more volunteer and community projects, deepen our partnerships and develop new partnerships, and ultimately ensure a more equitable and thriving future for underserved communities like the Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. Maya and Michelle, did you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Maya. I use she or they pronouns. I was an EarthCorps crew member last year and a crew lead, and I wanted to join EarthCorps again to work with their volunteer team, and I'm really excited to be in this role.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I use she, her pronouns. I was a Corps member last year as well, and I'm really excited to be on the volunteer team this year. I had a great time working in the field last year, but I'm excited to do the community work and get people outside.
Awesome, thanks so much. In just a moment, we'll be welcoming our community partner panelists, but first I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Miguel, the director of the community and volunteer team, to share more about the work that EarthCorps is doing.
Thank you, Gabbi. Hi, everyone. My name is Miguel Rainilla. I'm the partnership director at EarthCorps. I have a long history with the organization. I was among the first group of internationals that came in 1995 to launch the program. And I've been connected with the organization since then in different capacities. And I recently rejoined EarthCorps in my new role to help the organization to move in this new and exciting direction. It is part of the reason because we are gathering this evening. So I'm very honored to be part of the new direction of EarthCorps. Because in many ways, this has been a long dream of the organization with this concept of being more intentional and serving communities of colors and developing new and exciting projects that will have a more meaningful impact in the communities that have been more affected by the negative impact of climate change and many other inequalities around this concept of environmental injustice. So we're very excited today that we are joined by some of our partners that are going to help us to unfold this new concept and approach to building new relationship and developing new projects. So very quickly, I would like to share with you guys a short presentation of the new direction of EarthCorps and what we're trying to do as an organization. So the Community Volunteer Program, as Gabbi mentioned, is a new team at EarthCorps. We have done for many years volunteer work. We have done little expressions of community work over the years, but this is truly the first time where we are dedicating significant amount of resources into developing an entire new set of project and initiative within EarthCorps. Next slides, please. So what we are trying to do in this team is basically is to unfold a new approach to social innovation that will help us to advance environmental justice agendas. with our community partners. In order to do that, we are rethinking the way in how we build and develop restoration work and build community work. The entire exercise that we are developing this year, and after that, we're hoping for many more years of similar work, is a very practical approach to co-design from the very beginning every single solution that's going to reach our communities. And instead of us going and tell the community what they need to do, we want to create a dialogue with them and explore the best way to address the real needs that these communities have today. Next. One of the key elements of our approach is based on this notion of how to relearn how to work together. So not only internally in the organization, but with our community partners as well as our city partners. So it's an entire approach to really rethink the process and the structure that we are currently use in order to deliver more meaningful and more real services to the communities of colors throughout Puget Sound. And we're using an analogy based on the experience of the many communities in Catalonia, Spain. So this concept of these human towers, or also known as castellers, which is basically a community effort that every year take place during the summer, where neighborhoods, villages, entire cities come together and form these teams with the only objective to create these community towers. What most people don't know about this effort is what happened in between each of these major summer events, which basically means that during that period of time, the community come together and care for each other and look constantly to make sure, look after everyone involved in this team, to make sure that they're healthy, they're in good spirit, they're doing what they need to do, all their needs are covered. And by the time when the festival comes, everyone is in their best condition to participate in this event. And it's a community effort that includes everyone in the community. At the base of these human towers, you can find young people, elderly people, and everyone in between. And at the top of this tower are children, and very young children, who are the ones who actually have to climb these towers and go down in a safe, in the best and safest way. So it really creates a new approach to collaboration and culture, and that's why the communities in the region of Catalonia are normally very connected, and they're able to address many different issues, social, education, and environmental, in a very collective way. We can move to the next. While we are not going to be able to perhaps to build the same kind of towers here, so we're trying to come up with our own version of these towers, right? And for that, we are building a series of pilot areas where we're going to be inviting a number of different partners to work with us in developing projects and services that will bring additionally new opportunities for communities of color, and in particularly the youth throughout Puget Sound. So the main three areas that we're going to be focused in this year are the extending classroom and green spaces, and the extending classroom and green spaces and parks, with the idea the outdoors will become an extension of the classroom, and we will collaborate with teachers and schools and developing new experience, and they hopefully will translate into having more young people interested in developing a career around environmental restoration or environmental education. Food sovereignty and sustainable farming is also very important for many of the communities that we are currently working with. There are different models, different projects, and they all need our support and greater participation of the communities. This is a central issue for the well-being of many communities in the area. And we know that if we bring more people together, we will be able to address and provide the assistance that many of those projects require in order to really flourish. Restoration, technology, and green jobs remains very important and central to our work. This is an area where we're hoping to do different type of experimentations and pilot projects where we're going to take advantage of the expertise of many of our partners in order to create and recreate the way of how we provide services to our local communities. All these projects are going to be driven by the communities. That's why it's essential for this work to have strong connections with our community and find not only this collective, but also we need to find local leaders who can help us spread the word and find the best approach to connect and engage the communities they represent. That's why tonight we're going to meet some of them. And I'm very glad and thankful that after a year or so of exploring where and how and with who we can work, I was able to find some of these fantastic human beings that you're going to meet today. First, I would like to introduce these three panelists that are going to be with us. Abdi Haro from BCG, Bridging Cultural Gaps. Gabbi Gonzales from the City of Burien, and Joe Camacho, a fantastic teacher from Foster Heights. So we're going to give them the opportunity for them to introduce themselves, share a little bit more about the work that they're doing and why they're interested in working with us. So we will go with Abdi.
Thanks, Miguel. Thanks for that presentation. And we're excited at BCG to be a part of that work plan and that strategic plan and see what we can do together to create a more equal and just environment. My name is Abdi Haro. I work at Bridging Cultural Gaps. I'm a program manager. I play a number of roles, developing new programs, evaluating and trying to improve existing projects, and also external affairs, and also dealing with strategic partnerships. Our mission at BCG is to cultivate confidence in BIPOC youth and empower them to prosper and contribute successfully into their own quality of life and also the communities that they live in. We have a number of programs and work with a number of schools throughout the Tukwila and Seattle area. One of our main programs is the Hidden Genius program, where we introduce marginalized youth to the field of technology and try to get them to explore different things that are out there in the world of technology. As we know, technology is growing and trying to use technology as a force for good. And so we're excited to see how that pans out in using technology and environment and trying to see where that merges.
Thank you, Abdi. Mr. Camacho, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Miguel. Hey, everyone. I'm Joe Camacho. My students call me Mr. Camacho, teacher over at Foster High School in Tukwila. Been at Foster for past 5 or 6 years, and we have grown an environmental science program at Foster High School. When I first entered at Foster High School, there wasn't an environmental science course. Stayed a year there, created a course from the ground up. First year, we had about 60 students who were interested in learning more about our planet, about the environment. The second year, we doubled to 120. This year is our 3rd year of the program. It has grown so much that we had to hire a second teacher, Mr. Gunning. So our environmental science program is growing and growing. And what we're seeing is that there's a investment and a want from our students to try to solve our problems our planet is facing. I'm also noticing that the fan on my computer is loud, so I'm gonna pass it on to the next person. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. My dear friend, Gabbi Gonzales from the City of Burien, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Miguel. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Gabbi Gonzales. I'm a recreation coordinator for the City of Burien in the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services Department. For those of you that aren't familiar, Burien is a 52,000 person city just to the south of Seattle. We are a limited resource. We are next to the airport. And for all of you that want to mark your calendar, it's our 30th birthday this year. So we're also a young city.
All right. Thank you all. I just want to highlight these three fantastic friends of EarthCorps right now they're all doing amazing work in their communities, and I believe that in order for us as an organization to really create something of value, it's essential for us to connect with these kinds of individuals who know and understand their community needs and know how to bring good news and develop a work with their communities. It takes time to find good partners. It takes time to connect with the people at the level that is needed. But this is exactly the work that my team and I are trying to do from now on. So we're gonna go into the questions right now. These are the first questions for all of you. So if you can please share, how did you become involved in this work? Please feel free to tell us some of the stories of how you ended up doing the work that you are doing today. Let's start with Gabbi.
Thanks, Miguel. So I have actually worked for the City of Burien full-time for between 8 and 9 years as a recreation coordinator. For the first several years, my program areas did not involve green spaces. And often today, even, my work is outside of the parks. But my position is always centered around social justice. And I always like to share that I don't see the difference between environmental justice and social justice. And I don't see the difference between social justice in my personal life or my professional life. It all kind of is just justice. And it's something that we are trying to work toward. So one thing that I'll share is that the Green Burien Partnership, that was historically our Adopt a Park program, was put under my program areas in 2019. And what that really did is it gave me an opportunity to go from like the center, downtown Burien, and go like out and really explore what different areas looked like. And it is one thing to invite folks from all over Burien to come to the downtown area and attend an event and say that we have a resource, we have served you. It's another thing to go out and see what those parks look like and to see what folks' community really looks like. And seeing that was a huge shift in my approach to work and my philosophy around social justice and what it means to connect to people directly in their community. In some areas, there's waterfront property. In other neighborhoods, there's, like high crime rates. And then in other neighborhoods, you can basically touch airplanes that are flying overhead, right? And so depending on the particular neighborhood that you're serving, there really needs to be like a specific approach.
Thank you, Gabbi. Mr. Camacho, what about you?
Thanks. I feel like there's kind of two main pieces to my story. I think the first piece is really being able to reach as far as I have been able to reach because I stand on the shoulders of really great mentors. So in my what my role is as a teacher is not only to make sure that my students learn the science standards, but it's also providing them with great mentorship and opportunities to really find the interests that they liked. And that's what mentors in my life allowed for me to do. They kind of walked the path before me and illuminated it so I could succeed and achieve more than they ever did. So that's kind of the philosophy that I take when I go into the classroom is how do we provide opportunities for students instead of building barriers. The second piece is how did I get into the environmental field, or how did I get into teaching environmental science? I met someone named Jose Gonzales a couple years ago. He is the founder of an organization called Latino Outdoors, and one of the main purposes of that organization is really redefining what the outdoors is. Is my fan going crazy? Are we good? Okay, sweet. I'm just gonna keep going. So redefining what it means to be outdoorsy, redefining what it means to live sustainably. Before, it's really the definition of those two words were really defined, really narrow, but working with Jose Gonzales, working with Latino Outdoors, really helped me broaden what that definition meant. So as I began thinking and reflecting on the experiences that my family and I had every single year in the foothills in Southern California to celebrate my grandma's birthday, those experiences were outdoor experiences. When I think about how my grandma would reuse containers to put beans or put leftovers in the fridge, she taught me how to live sustainably, right? So it's really redefining what those definitions are, so it's broader for more audience to feel like they can be included in this community. So again, in my class, that's really what we're focusing on, is how do we broaden these definitions of what it means to love and live and learn in the environment, and also what does it mean to be a steward and to live sustainably, to broaden it to more cultures, to more people, so that our outdoors is accessible to all. So those are kind of the two things that I think about.
Thank you, John. Abdi?
Yeah, for me, I've always had a passion for nature and the outdoors and environment, but it's more of just a journey of trying to grow personally and recognize and develop a deep connection with nature, the natural world, and trying to figure out where I play a part in this, personally. It also comes from a faith base for me, coming from the belief that God created this beautiful earth, perfectly balanced and on the basis of sustainability. And so how he has given us the responsibility to act as stewards for this other creation that exists, that we share, that we share. And so to care and then manage and oversee and protect all of what is around us for the next generation. And also the earth is our home, right? Outside our personal home. And so thinking of it from that perspective, and it's a home that we share together collectively. And so everybody has their own part to play. Just as we protect our personal homes, it's important for us to think about how we connect to take care of the earth. And so as individuals and as a collective, we must try to take care of the bigger home that we live in.
Great, thank you, Abdi. I was just reflecting in the fact that the three of you, your personal journey and the things that you're thinking about are essentially very fundamental process of redefining, rethinking key concept of the human experience, right? So it resonates tremendously when Gabbi mentioned that justice is justice, like the way that we say love is love. So, and sometimes we get caught in too many confusing conversations about the specificity of certain terminology, when at the end of the day, we're all trying to live decent lives and try to provide to our families and make sure the other families and other communities have the same level of access in services that we want to experience, right? So it's very interesting to see that it doesn't matter where you're coming from today. This is central to the conversation, not only for you guys, but also for us as an organization. We're all rethinking the way of how we see our work and our role in making the world a better place. Thank you for that. And I want to move to the next question that is also for all of you. What are your organization goals for equity and justice? And the second part of that question is, how are they connected to your work today? So, Abdi, if you want to take that, and we will go backwards now.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just being part of the work that is to ensure that everyone has access to safe and healthy environment. It's based around fair chance, right? Everyone has the right to live in an area where they have equal access to the environmental work the city is doing or the state is doing for their community. And so it's around building and creating meaningful opportunities for community members to be directly involved in impacting their communities in whichever way that is, whether it's through policy, whether it's through work in the field. And so for us, it's connected with our work because we're just being a youth-based organization, trying to engage the youth and for them to realize that it's their right to have access to what everybody else has, right? And so they're not at any disadvantage. And so for them to engage them to go get what they should, what they have, access to.
Okay, thank you. Gabbi Gonzales, what about you?
Yeah, so as far as the City of Burien goes, we're just at the beginning, like as a city, of formalizing our approach at anti-racism and justice. What started as a grassroots effort is now organized into a group called the Advancing Equity Committee for the city, and this committee is diverse and represents all power positions. And in these committee meetings, it doesn't matter if you're a director or if you're front desk support, we all have the same voice and our voice all means the same thing. And so with the organizing of this committee, we've been able to support our city council's 2-year plan. Some of the things that are going to come out of this group are an equity impact tool that will be able to pass all policies, procedures, program ideas through to make sure they're achieving our equity goals. It will also implement trainings to all city staff, so we're all on the same page about where we are and where we'll want to go. So how I've mentioned that a lot of this is just like at the beginning. That is the reason why a lot of it's like philosophy. It boils down to like what my philosophy is around how is with my approach to like my work. And part of that is I've come to learn that being an underfunded city is actually a challenge worth facing and not like a shortcoming. Because with less funds, it's allowed for great partnership to bloom, whether that was with EarthCorps or other nonprofits, is also allowed us to work kind of like hand by hand, like in different areas and with community members so like really form these partnerships that we wouldn't have without like if we were fully funded as some other cities are. Yeah, so that's my answer.
Thank you, Gabbi. Mr. Camacho.
Thank you. Yeah, I can answer briefly on this. So as a public school, we're mandated by law to think about equity, right? Equitable access to education for all students. But I think as teachers in the classroom, we oftentimes take that a step further. Like we do what is mandated, but then we also make sure that we're providing experiences that are authentic to our students, that are relevant to their lives, their culture. And I really have a lot of freedom to do that in my class. And something that Miguel said in the start was expanding the classroom from being defined by the 4 walls to being outdoors in parks. And we really take advantage of that by going on field trips with students, exposing them and getting them connected with organizations that will help them be career ready for their post-secondary transition. And we get a lot of support from the state through that, because the program that I'm teaching in is a career and technical education program, a CTE course. So we're able to provide that training, to provide that access, and make sure that our students are on paths that they want to be as they leave high school. something I talk with my students a lot is you've got to create your own definition for what it means to be successful. Because if you define your success by someone else's standards, it's going to be really tough for you to meet that. So it looks like helping students create that definition, co-creating that definition with them, and then providing the supports they need to get there.
Thank you, Joe. And again, I want to highlight the, the pursuit of justice and greater levels of equity in our society is not something that we are going to achieve by following one particular recipe. So there are multiple pathways that we need to explore. And I think what is important and something that we're trying to do as an organization at EarthCorps is truly becoming the connector of a lot of these different initiatives. Look for a way to combine resources, capacity, knowledge, and expertise in order to achieve greater impact in our communities. So it's often seen in the distance between the social sector and the public sector is always a gray area where some of these conversations are not happening. So it's not easy to find places where everyone knows and understands what's going on. Or what are the opportunities in the city where I live. So instances like that we're trying to build here will help us to really develop a network of organization, professional, and talented people who have a lot to offer for the well-being of their communities. So we're gonna go move to a more specific individual questions, and I'm gonna stay with you, Joe. And I want to ask you, why is focusing in our youth is so critical for the environmental justice movements? What are your thoughts and the kinds of things that we need to keep on doing or creating for make sure the more young people get involved in this conversation?
Cool, thanks, Miguel. Yeah, I think when I think back about my experience when I was like just getting started, especially in college, in most of my environmental science courses or in any of my environmental courses, there was a huge lack of diversity. Teaching at a school as diverse as Foster High School has really empowered me to make sure that our youth are the current and future leaders of the environmental field, right? So it's really important to get our youth in there because their experiences, their ideas, they are great, and increasing the diversity in this field is one of my goals. Providing that access so that students know how to get high-paying, great-paying jobs where they feel respected, where they feel like their ideas are listened to. So one of the ways that I'm supporting students in that way is by getting them involved in internships. They're being placed in positions at the table at King County, in the city of Tukwila, and also getting work experiences with partners like EarthCorps, with partners like Sea Potential, where they are going out, identifying their own connection with nature, their own connection with this field, and they're being prepared to be the leaders as the next generation. So I think getting youth involved is so important to really bring richness to this field and increase diversity. So we get more voices, more cultures at the table as we're moving into this next generation.
Thank you, Joe. Gabbi, why is it important to tackle environmental and social issues at the community level? So, and please share what's your experience in this often messy process of combining policy with actual work on the ground and services for the community.
Yeah, and forgive me, I'm going to read a little bit because there's a couple points I don't want to miss.
Sure.
So I believe that the true road to social justice is through relationship building. I believe that relationship building is the road to healing. When you've lived in a neighborhood that has been ignored, or a park that has been or you live near a park that's been ignored for years, where blackberry grows high and you may not receive the resources you need, let alone like a well-lit green space, any action can seem scary. The presence of city staff in a park may have you thinking, is there a high-rise apartment building that's going to be coming here? Wondering what's next. And like when blackberry are removed on the boundary line between a park and your house, it seems like a security system is being removed. This is the importance of collaboration and community engagement. The neighborhood and the neighbors in it are the experts on what's happening, and they should be asked what changes they would like to see. I think that it's also important to explain like the difference between outreach and community engagement, because outreach is a one-way message. Outreach is like, hey, Miguel, we're coming into your neighborhood. This is what we're doing. And community engagement is going to be an approaching like a two-way conversation. So, hey, Miguel, you know, we really recognize that we have not been present in your neighborhood. And we know that that has brought safety issues and other things up. What would you like to see changed? What are your priorities? And I believe that after the key part of targeted community engagement, that's where policy can be written, and it can be like the best policy. Policy can help ensure that historically under-resourced parks will be prioritized, and it can push equity forward in ways that it hasn't been before. It's with this two-way connection, like in cycle continuing, that I really think that policy can transform government and other inequitable systems.
Thank you, Gabby. Abdi, you're probably aware that for a while, the environmental movement, especially in the US, has been seen as white-led, predominantly white-led, right? So, but this is a different time. So I would like to hear more about your thoughts. Why must the local environmental movement no longer leave our BIPOC communities outside, you know, future solutions? So what's the perspective of BCG and how to better engage BIPOC communities into the movement?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest ways is to bring people to the table, right? And so you can't speak for someone that you don't know what they're going through, or you can't try to paint an image of what they're going through or advocate for them if they're not at the table advocating for themselves. So part of it is actually bringing people to the table and trying to diversify the field, kind of like what Mr. Camacho was saying earlier. Bringing diversity into the field so that people can really advocate for themselves because they know what's affecting them most. And so this is how we can create a more equitable and just society. And when we think about inequities, and Gabby said it earlier, environmental justice and social justice, they're interconnected, right? Same thing, however you put it. And so it goes back to that. And some of these BIPOC communities are already facing other inequities. And so, it's looking at it more from a holistic view of, as one thing that it's what it is social injustice. And what it is injustice in general, right? And so bringing them to the table to advocate for themselves so they have more say. And that's what we're trying to do at BCG, to engage the youth, to really empower them and, help them understand they have the power to mobilize and change. And so they can really do a lot because of this different perspectives they bring to the table, the different ideas and different communities they come from. And so that's what we need to do, really, is bring people to the table.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Abdi. We have a couple of more questions that are for all of you. And these go around what you experienced so far as the impact of your work. So how have you seen the community members of your or youth of your community respond to your work? I would like to hear a little bit more about your experiences, the type of projects and the outcomes of some of the work that you have done with the youth population. So Mr. Camacho, what about if you start?
Yeah, I think what we're doing is shown by how many students sign up for the environmental science courses.
Yeah.
We're sitting at like 240 this year. We had to hire a whole nother environmental science teacher. Next year, we have enough interest to add a third year. So students can take 3 years of an environmental type course at Foster High School starting next year. And so far, I think we're at 290 signed up for our 3 years, which is honestly, it's too many. I can't like I can only fit so many students in the classroom, but I think what's really happening is passion is building passion. And where I used to start that conversation is the passion of the teacher breeds passion in the students. But really what I'm starting to see in real time in my school is the passion of students building passion in other students. And I think that's where we're able to build successful programs. Building programs around one person usually doesn't end up working great. But if you build programs around these ideas, and if you build programs around these ideas, I think it's going to be long lasting well after I leave Foster High School. So that's what I'm looking at is students are into it.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Gabby, what about you?
Yeah, so over the last 3 years, we've really been able to offer programs to a lot of youth in ways that we otherwise hadn't been able to before. One of those programs took part in a park called Hilltop Park. That's the only park in the southeast corner of Burien. And it was an after-school program for middle schoolers, high schoolers, and young adults. It was really pretty cool because it was a park that had often been underused because it's not well lit and it doesn't have a lot happening in it. Through this program, we were able to watch youth teach each other. So the high schoolers would mentor the middle schoolers. They learned skills around removing ivy and live willow staking. And some of the things that came out of that program is because our youth don't always live in houses. A lot of them live in apartment buildings that don't have green spaces at all. Youth were experiencing the feeling of being calm in a green space for the first times, right? The benefits of like mindfulness in green spaces, you know, and not only that, but when we were asking like why they were there, a lot of them were like, because I'm getting paid. And that's an awesome plus as well, right? I'm at my job because I get paid. Like, I love it, but like paychecks are important and you should be paid for the work that you do. So being able to share what that feels like for the first time with the youth was a really powerful thing.
Thank you, Gabby. Abdi?
Yeah, you know, for us, working in the environmental field is fairly new. We are a fairly new organization in general, about 5 years since we were founded. And so, and as far as the environment goes, we were just, I would say last 2 years, starting with the Port of Seattle program that we did. And that's how we met, you know, Miguel, and learned more about EarthCorps. And so we see that we did a tree planting initiative in Tequila area. And just seeing how excited families were, kind of what Gabby was saying earlier, the youth working together to teach each other. And so the excitement and the passion is definitely there. And so our job, I think, is to to continue to inspire that passion and create opportunities for that passion to occur. And so, you know, and it's not just about, you know, tree planting, right? When you have these kind of events, it's about family coming together, you know, youth coming together, you know, and really there's skill building, there's, you know, interpersonal skills that's going on. So there's a lot, and there's more to it, and a lot that we can't see or evaluate, but really just creating those opportunities for the youth to learn, and just giving them the light so they can spark the fire.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you all. I've really enjoyed working with you all so far, and I'm excited to continue our work. I really see and admire your dedication to love in its infinite forms and to justice. And so we're going to open it up to the audience. Joe does have to hop off in a couple minutes, but he's very popular. But he has mentioned that he's happy to answer follow-up questions in an email as well. So we have a couple comments saying what a beautiful comparison between outreach and community building. Gabby, thank you so much for sharing. And this is awesome and so important. Thank you so much for sharing and all the work you do. And the first question says, I can imagine this work is hard for students and youth, even though important for the members of your communities and the communities that you serve who are aware of this work. Are they excited to work with EarthCorps? And how can you tell?
I guess that would be Abdi, Joe. Each of you, they have more direct connections with the young population, or Gabbi too, right?
I don't mind jumping in. So what was great was some core members and some of the people here on the meeting today came by Foster High School and talked about the work that EarthCorps does. They also invited students to come to do some single-day internships at local parks and potentially a week-long internship during the summer. After that initial conversation, I would say almost every single day, students have asked me, when are the Earth people going to come back? Because we want to learn more about these internship opportunities. So when they hear about the work, yeah, it's tough work. The pictures that were shown were of people removing some blackberries, and some of the core members were honest, but they were also honest about the stories and the why behind they do the work. And again, that's really what is inspiring the students, that they want to get out there. Again, it's getting rid of those four walls of the classroom, and we're pushing it out into local parks. And I think that's what our students like to see. It's an alternative way to learning, but it still is learning. And that's why I think they love about opportunities like working with EarthCorps.
Yeah, I mean, I like the key word there is opportunities, right, that Joe mentioned. And really our job here is to give the youth those opportunities to really gain access and exposed to different topics, different fields, different social justice issues. So they can choose the ones that are more, that they're connected with, the ones that more, speak to them. And so that's what's really exciting about this, is for us to be in this partnership with EarthCorps, so that we can, have access to that agency or organization that we can refer students to if they're passionate about environment, but getting them to do the work. So to see if they maybe, are they interested in it? Is this something they would like to do? And if that is, then we have someone to refer them to.
Right, thank you. Gabbi Gonzales, more to add to that? How do you see the young people in your city?
Yeah, I can add to that. Environmental restoration is hard work, and that is the conversation that we have with youth a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So it's, what do you enjoy about it? Do you enjoy being outside? And some youth love pulling ivy. Do you really like the removal? And we kind of build the program around them, right? Let them steer it. So we go out, we introduce a bunch of things. Not everybody likes pulling blackberry, cutting blackberry, right? It bites back sometimes. And so what is bringing them joy? What do they like? And how can we kind of steer programming more in that direction?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll just piggyback on that. Sometimes the joy comes from trying something new, right? And so for them, maybe they haven't done this before. And so it's really a nice way to really get them to think about something they haven't done before and enjoy that experience.
Yeah. And I will add, as a parent also, that it's so inspiring to see young people in this generation who are bombarded with technology. There are many of them. They want to be out. They want to be working hands-on, really experiencing nature. I think it's a tremendous opportunity that we have in front of us. Gabby, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your answers. We have another question from the audience. Those internships and opportunities sound incredible. How does the conversation around environmental justice change when talking with youth versus adults?
I can start.
Mhm.
I think it's very similar. We in our youth programming, we specifically have an environmental racism and environmental justice talk with the youth. Often our equitable paid programming and engages youth of color. And so we're just really frank about it. Like, what does it feel like to be able to impact positive change in a space that historically, like, people of color have not been invited, you know, and we have like we just have a dialogue around it. I think that it's a complicated issue, and you can gauge it at a high schooler the same way that you can an adult, and kind of just open the questions and then let the conversation take you where it goes. I think that sometimes we maybe underestimate what youth actually observe, and especially like in this current climate. So really just honoring that with some good conversation.
I can speak more on that. In the environmental science course, we cover a lot of different topics. Each of our units has 3 main questions: what's going on, who's being impacted, and what can we do? So every single thing we learn about in the environmental science courses is related to environmental justice, is related to social justice. This year we're taking it a step further. It's really tough to teach an environmental science course because everything I teach about really sucks. Increasing temperatures, melting glaciers, rising sea levels, right? All of that doom and gloom. This year, we're changing how we tell that story, and students are learning about those things and pledging to make impacts. So we're really changing the way we think about how we teach these courses, and students are looking closely at their own community. They're looking at other communities to see how where you live impacts your health. So we're constantly having conversations around how the environment, our health, how all these things are interconnected, and what can we do about it? Like, what power do you have as a teenager, as a student, to make realistic change in your community? With adults, Foster High School, we just had a staff meeting this Wednesday where we're talking about we got to start recycling. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm really good with students, but adults, it's a little tougher. So hopefully it's going okay today. But yeah, I feel like just like what Gabby said, those conversations that you're having with adults in your organizations around environmental justice, we're having those same conversations or similar conversations with students, because what brings me a lot of hope is hearing and seeing and watching what these students are doing to make this place better. So that, yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
Thank you so much. And we have one more question, and then I think we'll probably close it out. This has been so interesting hearing about all the work you all are doing. The passion and insight in this conversation has been really inspiring. How can someone like me get involved and support these programs and organizations?
I can go. So the Green Burien partnership that engages youth through equitable programming also engages adults through forest stewardship. We have volunteer positions and paid positions. We have work parties. So come out and work beside us. You'll have an opportunity to attend events that are organized by youth and see the outcomes of the programs that we're doing. But yeah, I would say with Burien, if you want to get involved, just come work alongside us.
Yeah, for us at Virgin Cultural Gaps, our environmental initiatives are new and fresh and growing, and so we're looking for people and new ideas, volunteers to come give us more ideas and help us grow and build a base for it. And so you can reach out to us through our website and see how you can help support our programs.
If you think at like a systemic level, I think advocating or enacting policies within your organizations to look at equitable hiring practices as we're creating these leaders in my classroom, like making sure that there is space for them at the table as they transition outside of high school and outside of college. So that's like systemic, right? If you want to do something right now, students are always looking for internships, always looking for things to do. So reaching out to either me or your local high school, say like, this is an opportunity that we can offer you all. I'm always looking for that.
Lots of appreciation and gratefulness in the chat. And our time is coming to an end. We are so grateful to have Gabbi, Abdi, and Joey joining us for tonight and talking about social justice. And we are also grateful to all of you participants, the audience members who engaged with us in this conversation. If you're interested in getting involved in EarthCorps' work, you can check out our volunteer calendar on our website and sign up for an upcoming community volunteer event. We have lots going on for Earth Day, and we would love to see you there.
Yeah, we also hold private volunteer events, and it's a great way to engage and support the work that we are doing in connecting with more communities. It's also a great opportunity that we offer for companies to develop a new way for their employees to be part of environmental work and community work. So if you're interested in these kinds of work, you can always reach out to us in our website or directly to me as Miguel at EarthCorps. And I would like to finalize with one simple thought that we started with this concept of these human towers. And I think the way that I see the work that we're building right now is that we are in the middle of the process of developing this new base of collaboration. The tower will come in different shapes and form, and that will be the different efforts and projects that we're going to be doing together. And the best part of this is that we are going to have young people who are going to feel more confident and more hopeful about the future. I want to thank you again, Abdi, Gabbi, and Joe, for all the wonderful work that you guys are doing. And thank you again for supporting the work that we are building with you at EarthCorps. And
Perfect.
I think with that is a big thank you to everyone in the audience. Thank you for joining us online, and we'll see you next time.